It is about a young woman who becomes pregnant, and this is unusual because she's never had sex. She has put this off because she wants to go to medical school, and nonetheless finds herself pregnant, and nobody believes her that she's still a virgin. Her fiancé breaks up with her. Her parents start wondering about her mental health when she keeps insisting that she doesn't know how this happened. And the only person who believes her is a stranger who belongs to a religious order that thinks her child may be the next Messiah. That is, until she reveals that the child is going to be a girl, then there are all these forces out there determined to stop her from giving birth. And she has to fight for her life as she tries to figure out what the meaning of her pregnancy is. Well, there were a few things. One of them is I had been doing a lot of reading just for myself about the origins of different religions and the idea that there was much more of a focus, particularly before Christianity, on some women-centered religions, goddess worship, and how that changed and why that changed. And while that is not the main part of what the book's about, I started thinking about, well, why is it that what, at least in the Western world, we think of as the Messiah is male, that Judaism is a male-centered religion, and what would happen if there was a potential for a second coming, but the child was going to be a female, and how would people feel about that? Is that really what's happening or not? That's something you have to read the book to find out, but certainly that initial question intrigued me, and that's what got me thinking about the plot. Well, my favorite character, of course, is Tara, because she's the one I chose to write about. I like her. She's a very happy person, a very responsible person who's suddenly thrown in this situation that is just impossible and so difficult for her. But after Tara, my favorite is Cyril. He is the stranger I mentioned who believes Tara, and he is someone who struggles so hard to do what's right and yet is confronted with extremely difficult choices. He often makes what I think are very bad choices, but I hope that the reader can sympathize at least with his motives, and I feel for him even as I'm very angry at him. And I've had readers say the same thing about him, that they both love him and hate him. That is always a challenge. Before I became an attorney, I had more or less a 9-to-5 job, so it was much easier because I set aside 2 nights a week and 4 hours on Saturday, and that was my writing time, and I almost never varied that. I would just sit down, and that's when I would write. When I became a lawyer, there are times I work late. There are weeks, or even sometimes as much as a month, when I am working almost all the time. So I couldn't keep that regular schedule, but the fact that I had done that for so many years really helped me be in the mode that when I do have time to write, I generally can just sit down and start writing or plotting or whatever I'm doing. So instead of setting set times to write, what I do is set goals for myself. If I'm outlining, I'll say I'd like to finish the outline by a month from now. If I'm first drafting, that I would like to do so many pages every 2 weeks. And that way, wherever I fit it in is good, but I have some way to track my progress, and that helps me. I'm a list maker, so it helps me to have a list of what I want to do and check it off. Well, first, I hope they just enjoy the story. I read for fun. I read because I enjoy it, and I always want a really good plot, regardless of what the themes of the book are. I also hope that they care about the characters, that it means something to them, and beyond that, I hope it makes them think. There are a lot of issues that are touched on or raised in the book that I don't think are necessarily presented as, here's what you should think about this, or here's the conclusion you should reach about these questions, but I hope that I've raised them in a way that will make people interested in thinking more about them or even talking about them.